And the lies in my mind, you're losing this time. I know who I am. I'm a fighter, survivor. I am not alone. I've got that fire like a lighter burning in my bones. Don't underestimate me. You cannot stop or break me. I'm a fighter. I know this life can be hard, but I'm harder. I'm proud of these battle scars, yeah. I am not the same. I got a new name. Watch me prove you wrong. I know that I am strong. I am not alone. I've got that fire burning in my bones. Don't underestimate me. You cannot stop or break me. I'm a fighter, survivor. I'm a fighter. I'm a survivor. Don't underestimate me. You cannot stop or break me. I am not alone. I've got that fire.
Good evening. Tonight, we begin with the Data Privacy Act as we talk about digital dignity and financial integrity. Well, there's first a disturbing trend on social media, the circulation of graphic images of deceased individuals whose dignity is at risk. And who does the law protect as families deal with this grief? Then we continue our rare and high-stakes sit-down with Michael Lee Chin as he continues this discussion for the first time since the delayed payment issue at the National Commercial Bank and the newly announced asset taxes in Jamaica. He's also today talking about those hot-button issues that have to deal with the consequences, not just for him, but for Jamaica and the region. Then we'll get reactions from now these 2 days of going through the mogul Michael Lee Chin's positions. I'm Jody Ann Quarry, and this is Lead Story. Good evening. We've all seen it. A major accident, a shooting, a crime scene. And within minutes, graphic videos are circulating on WhatsApp groups, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's become a reflex. Film first, help afterwards. Forward now, think later. But behind those pixels are grieving families, compromised police investigations, and a legal minefield that many Jamaicans are walking into, even without knowing it. Tonight, we ask, when you hit the forward button, what liability are you accepting? Now, in a few moments, we'll be joined by Chukwemeka Cameron, privacy practitioner and attorney at law. But let me give you an overview of what it is that you might be facing and dealing with as Jamaica now takes a look at what privacy laws do in Jamaica and why it's so important that you give a little thought to not sharing the information that comes before your eyes. Now, we have laws about this sort of thing. The Cybercrimes Act of 2015 is one of the primary tools that are being used by the Jamaica Constabulary Force to prosecute people who share harmful content. And you have to know that Jamaica has laws about this sort of thing. You don't get to just share videos and pictures that come to you, or worse, that you take as you see someone who has been severely injured or even dead. And that is something that we're seeing more and more cases of as people become more tech savvy and are now more connected to internet conversations all across the globe. The penalties under that piece of legislation could mean to millions of dollars in fines and prison time, sometimes up to 10 to 20 years, depending on the severity of what it is that you have done and whether it's a repeat offense. And that's certainly something that you should bear in mind as you're dealing with these sorts of considerations. For dead people, deceased persons, well, they are people too, and the protection for them is covered under the Data Protection Act. It's critical that you understand that when you see a dead body on the side of the road, or someone sends you a video of someone who is recently or even not so recently deceased, the Data Protection Act also covers them. Now, the Act recently became operational in 2023, but we're still working in a world where it matters. Deceased persons are protected under the Data Protection Act, or the DPA, and it defines personal data as anything belonging to a person, whether they're alive or they have been deceased for less than 30 years. That is, you still get to hold dignity within yourself as a person if you are deceased. Your family gets to protect your dignity, and someone passing you on the side of the road does not get the opportunity to share you in whatever matter of decomposition or distress you might be in. Now, you also need consent, and persons who are sharing that information, whether you're alive or have been recently or not so recently deceased, need permission to do so. And then finally, apart from the Data Protection Act and apart from the Cybercrimes Act, you also have civil penalties, so civil liability under defamation and privacy, because beyond just criminal sanctions, you could be sued in civil court for harassment and privacy, especially those individuals who share intimate or graphic information about individuals online. Someone sent you a private video of themselves, it's never up to you to forward it to someone else. And sharing it without consent can have you deal with a lawsuit for misuse of private information. For defamation, that's something that we have been speaking about quite a lot here in Jamaica, and looking at defamatory content and what it might mean and might look like. Well, if shared content implies something false or damaging about the person's character, the poster can be held liable for significant monetary damages. Now, if you just get it, you didn't take it, and you pass it on, will something happen to you? Absolutely. I know you feel that you might be at home right now receiving a WhatsApp message, receiving an Instagram message or a DM on Twitter, and say to yourself, I didn't take it. I wasn't the one who shared it. I've merely received this information. Well, you can be held liable as well if you have that content on your electronic device. Now, there have been cases here in Jamaica, notable cases that have happened here in Jamaica since the start of 2025 into 2026, and we'll talk about that now with attorney at law and privacy practitioner Chukwemeka Cameron. Chuck Cameron, good evening, and thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story. You're on mute, Chuck Cameron. I can't hear you clearly, as we want to make sure that we are having this conversation so that Jamaica can better understand and appreciate what it is that you have to share with us about not only privacy, but also protection. Chuck Cameron? Oh my goodness, I can barely hear you now as you're speaking with us inside the show. We're just going to sort that out here so we can continue to have that conversation with you, Chukwemeka Cameron. But as we take a look at whether or not you could be held liable or accountable for the things that you share online, I just want to let you know that there have been cases. Remember that case of a young woman who went online, a Clarendon woman who had been charged for use, let me read it clearly here, use of a computer device for malicious communication. It's after saying that she wanted violence following a fatal shooting. Well, Dana Warren was fined 900,000 Jamaican dollars or 4 months in prison. Chukwemeka Cameron, are you there with us? All right, I had a bit of a fright a moment ago. We're still seeing if we can sort out our link there with him, as we want to have that conversation with you, because many people are sharing information online not quite aware of the risks that they could face. Parliament also just passed a new amendment, the Cybercrimes Amendment Act 2026. And this law specifically targets the sharing of intimate images or revenge pornography. Got that lovely picture of a lovely young man or a lovely young woman, and you got that, and because you no longer are together, you've decided that you're going to share this information in places that are inappropriate. And my production team going, well, that's important, because this new law specifically targets the sharing of those pictures and content generated by artificial intelligence or deep fakes. Crucially, the law states that no person under 18 years of age can legally consent to their intimate images being shared. We are part of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and it indicates that children are under age 18. If you're under 18, therefore, you're a child, and you don't have the ability to share your sexy pictures with anybody, because you're not to be sharing the sexy pictures to begin with. Keep it to yourself. And this is a warning to all of you who are watching this as well. You want to believe that the person is safe, but you want to make sure that they continue to be safe with you. Chuck Cameron, are you here with us now inside Lead Story?
Yes, I am hearing you. I hope you are hearing me.
I am hearing you clearly. So glad that you could join us as we just gave a brief overview of some of the legal provisions here in Jamaica that cover privacy. Help us understand the forwarding trap, because many people believe that if they did not record the video that they are seeing of a dead person or someone who has sent sexually graphic images, they're not doing anything wrong by sharing it. Under Jamaica's Cybercrimes Act, what's the legal reality for the person who simply hits forward on one of these videos, like, for example, a graphic crime scene video?
So let me even start with the Data Protection Act. Our Data Protection Act defines or extends the definition of personal data to persons who have died, and that right that they enjoy extends up to 30 years after their death. So the same rights that attend or attach to a living person is the same sort of rights that attach to someone that has died. And those rights that are provided for under the Data Protection Act can be exercised by representatives of the estate of that dead person. It is, in my mind, an anomaly, because the Constitution doesn't guarantee the protection of rights of persons who have died. It does guarantee the protection of persons who are alive, but our Data Protection Act protects rights of persons who are deceased.
I think that's so important for you to highlight, because for many individuals, they just believe that if they see a dead body on the side of the road, or if they are able to see any of these images, they can share this information. If somebody forwards the information that they have, Chuck Cameron, can they be held liable, even if they're not the maker?
Yes, you can be held liable because, one, you must have a lawful purpose or basis for first capturing that image, because just capturing the image alone is regarded as processing under the Personal Data Act. Another, you must also have a lawful basis or legitimate interest in storing that image on your phone. And then finally, there's a question of sharing. So unless you have a legitimate purpose for doing any one of those three acts, one, capturing it, processing it by storing it on your phone, or sharing it, in the absence of a lawful basis or legitimate purpose, you can be exposed to criminal sanction under the Data Protection Act.
I think that's so important, Chuck Cameron, that everybody internalize what you're saying, that you can be held liable. But let's talk about prosecutions here for a moment, because often the information that people get is something that could help or hinder justice. A viral video where someone is seen in there and their body parts might be shown, whether alive or dead. Does that actually hurt a prosecutor's ability to secure a conviction? And are we, by posting evidence online, prematurely helping criminals to escape justice?
So I wouldn't want to. So it depends our perspective, because on one side of the coin, you are actually capturing evidence where none may exist. So if it is there was not a Jamaica eye that was able to capture that same imagery, persons may be able to go on that crime scene and change what was there at the time of death. So if it is a contemporaneous image was captured right then and there, you can actually help the prosecution. There is no question about it.
And I think that is the balance that we always want to strike, one that allows for us to say this can both help and harm, but at the same time recognizing that Jamaican laws protect us all. Chuck Cameron, we're clearly going to have this conversation once more. We have really apologized to our viewers that we weren't able to have this full conversation because of interruptions, but Chukwemeka Cameron, privacy expert and attorney at law, thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story. We're taking a break here inside Lead Story and going into parts 3 and 4 of that explosive Michael Leachin interview.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
Hi, I'm Landy. Welcome to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly platform designed to help you share your feedback, get support, and updates about land-related matters. Available 24/7, NLA Connect allows you to share suggestions, comments, and commendations, submit queries and report issues, attach files with your requests, track requests and get real-time status updates, connect with NLA client engagement officers, and provide feedback on the service received via the platform. We're making it easier for you to connect with us. You can access NLA Connect via our website, using the kiosk at any of our offices, or scanning the QR code displayed at our locations. Need any help along the way? Check out our FAQs section. It has all the answers you need in one location. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority.
Kingston, get ready! 100 Kingston presents the 10 times 10 anniversary party. When? Saturday, February 28th. We're at 100 Hope Road, Kingston, Jamaica. Live on stage, Christopher Martin, Beanie Man, Agent Sasko, and Egyptian. Gates open at 6 p.m. General admission 10,000. VIP 25,000. Get your tickets at 100 Hope Road. Mega Mart, Waterloo, and Port Moore. Gina's Pharmacy, Ribis Arden Road, Jandan Open House at Devon House, and Ribis Gas Station, Washington Boulevard.
Enjoy peace of mind knowing that your hard-earned money is protected by the JDIC. That's right, the JDIC through the Deposit Insurance Scheme guarantees up to $1.2 million of your deposits in commercial banks, merchant banks, and building societies. This means your deposits, such as your savings and checking accounts, are covered. Rest easy knowing that your deposits are secure. Your deposits always protected. For more information, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at JDICJAM or visit our website at www.jdic.org.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
For the first time, Michael Lee Chin opens up about the pressures facing his investments and the Jamaican stock market. In segment 3 of this 4-part interview that we're having with Michael Lee Chin, played yesterday, parts 1 and 2, and part 3 playing now, he claims some market participants are purposely pushing down National Commercial Bank share prices to coerce investors into selling, allowing others to buy cheaply. He has highlighted that this undermines investor confidence and stresses the need for clear enforcement and serious consequences. Let's take a listen.
Welcome back to our special interview with Michael Lee Chin. Mr. Lee Chin, just before the break, we were speaking about NCB's share price and investors not being happy from a high of above 200 in 2019-2020 to yesterday closing at 42.04. And you were speaking about surreptitious players in the Jamaican stock market in a response just now who may have ulterior motives. What do you mean by that? People watching on will say, wait, what am I talking about?
Well, it's quite simple. NCB is such a beautiful building. It's the best business, It's the best business in Jamaica and the Caribbean. And a lot of people covet it. So it is, and we have, there's situations that are happening, that have been happening over the last 4 years, which was contrived to drive the share price down.
Like what?
Like what? Like people bad players acting in the market to drive the share price down, so that would cause chaos with the bondholders, and then I would have to sell, right? And then they would be able to buy the stock cheap in our market, because it is prone to manipulation. Because we have it's illiquid, so it doesn't take much to move the stock up or down.
Prone to manipulation. Are you suggesting that there are players right now in the Jamaican market manipulating the stock market?
Well, look, NCB is trading at 50% of its book value. 50%. In other words, you can buy $1 for 50 cents. Okay? The typical financial services stock will be trading today at $1.25 to 1.5 times book value. So NCB is trading at a fraction of what it should be trading at. So that's number one. That's an aberration, and the aberration is not a coincidence. It is contrived.
You said that the idea is to get the price down by these surreptitious players and to get you to sell. Are you suggesting that there are people trying to oust you from your position?
100%. 100%.
Why?
Greed.
And is that...
And this is part of what we have to address if we want to make Jamaica an investable country. If we want to make Jamaica investable, we have to make sure that this doesn't go. People cannot act with impunity.
You think that is happening?
100%. We have to call a spade a spade. Because if we don't, we're just going to be fumbling around. We'll never have growth. We'll never have foreign investors coming in and feeling comfortable.
What is the end game, you think, for those people who are acting?
Simple. Take over NCB. Cheap.
How does that make you feel, given the years that you've put into building it?
Horrible. 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 Because I'm thinking if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And we need to deal with it.
By doing what?
By making sure that the laws of the exchange are being respected, and consequences for manipulation are severe, jail time.
Do you think, as it is now, that's not happening sufficiently?
When was the last time we have had anybody charged with stock manipulation? When?
How do you suggest that be fixed? The concerns that you're raising right now, which is essentially white-collar crime, because there's been long-held concerns that white-collar crime in Jamaica is not prosecuted. Do you share that concern?
I do share that concern.
What do you think needs to happen?
We just need to be a lot more, we need to build a society that's merit-based. Not who you're born, your last name, or where they come from, Upper St. Andrew or Lower St. Andrew or Moko.
You seem like you're throwing words there, Mr. Leachin. Do you mind, you want to call any names?
No, I'm not going to call names, Gio. But I'm just saying these are issues I'm putting squarely on the table that we as citizens have to be aware of and deal with. Or else we're going to be forever be bouncing around without any growth and without any direction.
Last year, and as we're on this point, I have to ask, there were calls for you to step aside as chairman, given the concerns about the debt issues at your private companies and possibly impact on NCB. You pushed back against it. Have you ever considered stepping down though?
You know, it was not just, it was called for me to step aside as chairman, and I seen the newspaper call for my fitness and proprietorship was being questioned. In other words, there were calls in many places that I should be deemed unfit to be the chairman of the National Commercial Bank Financial Group.
On what basis?
On the fact that I have missed interest payments on the debt of AIC, nothing to do with NCB, FG. Right? And the Bank Services Act is so broad that it gives discretion that anybody can be deemed unfit because the discretion is so broad. So if
those are some of the reforms you think needs to be tightened, those
100%, 100%, because it is easy to weaponize fitness and proper, being fit and proper.
Weaponization of being fit and proper, do you think that has any concern to do with ageism? We live in a world right now where people think, you know, once you pass 60 and now in your case past 70, ageism, out with the old, in with the new. Do you think that is at play here in your situation?
I don't know about ageism, but what I know about is fairness, right? Fairness has no, is age agnostic, being fair. And you see, let me be even more controversial. I have a mantra, and this is because of what happened to me in the Dominican Republic. We owned the largest landfill site in the DR. It was expropriated from us, and I won at the arbitration in Washington. I won the case, right? And I made a commitment, Mike, you'll never do business in any country that you feel nervous to stand in front of a judge in that country. So I have a simple test. Any country that I ask myself the question, Mike, would you feel comfortable standing in front of a judge in that country?
And why were you uncomfortable?
Hold on. And if the answer is no, I'm not going to do business there. Simple. Because eventually, as a business person, you'll eventually have to stand in front of a judge, because that's just how business is. I got the shock of my life yesterday, when I said that to this business lady, and she said, you know, Mike, what my lawyers are telling me, I do business in Jamaica, and what my lawyers are telling me is that I don't want to stand in front of a judge in Jamaica. I should settle. I was shocked. So what is this?
Do you feel that way about Jamaica?
I've never stood in front of a judge, but she has, and this is what her lawyer is telling her.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify as well from our viewers, when Mr. Leachin mentions expropriated, it means the government came in and they seized that, they took over that company that you were operating, the landfill in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he's mentioning here. And they're saying because of that sort of a situation and being fearful to stand in front of a judge, why though were you fearful to go in front of a judge in the DR?
Because, no, after that experience,
right,
I said to myself, before I invest in any country, I have to ask myself a simple question. Would I feel comfortable standing in front of a judge in that particular country? Because eventually, as a business person, you will. That's just how business is.
Yeah.
So if you're not comfortable up front, don't go there.
Yeah.
And hence I was telling this to a local business person. And she said, Mike, I don't feel comfortable in Jamaica with our justice system right now.
Hearing someone else say that about your home country, though, what were your thoughts on?
I'm hurt. Because it shouldn't be so. It should not be so. And these are issues that we have to deal with. But you see, because we are afraid to put these issues on the table publicly so we can deal with them, it continues and it will only get worse.
Yeah. How do we stop it though? And wrapping up now because we're almost out of time. How do we, in layman's terms right now, stop what you're calling the manipulation of the stock market, the greedy players in the financial industry who are being unfair? How do we stop those people?
We have to make sure that if you don't respect the law, we chop your foot off. It's as simple as that. So people realize laws are there for a reason and they should be respected, irrespective of who you are.
Words there from Michael Leachin. We'll take a break and come back to the final part of that interview with Managing Editor Giovanni Dennis.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Hi, I'm Landy. Welcome to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly platform designed to help you share your feedback, get support and updates about land-related matters. Available 24/7, NLA Connect allows you to share suggestions, comments and commendations, submit queries and report issues, attach files with your requests, track requests and get real-time status updates, connect with NLA client engagement officers, and provide feedback on the service received via the platform. We're making it easier for you to connect with us. You can access NLA Connect via our website, using the kiosk at any of our offices or scanning the QR code displayed at our locations. Need any help along the way? Check out our FAQs section. It has all the answers you need in one location. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority.
This part of the interview digs into Michael Leachin's perspective on leadership, investor confidence, and the long-term vision behind NCB. He discusses here the pressures of negative press coverage, the importance of maintaining a strong brand, and why he believes NCB remains a platform for Jamaicans to create wealth. Let's take a listen to the final segment of this interview between business mogul Michael Leachin and CVM's Managing Editor Giovanni Dennis.
Can't let you go without asking you this as well. Given the issues that you say you've been dealt with unfairly and all the issues that has been happening, you've had a good run, a long run. Is it time to hand over the chairmanship?
No, not yet, because my work has just started. As you can see from my answers, my work has just started. Because when I bought NCB, I bought it. The fact that I bought it means that I was very wealthy, right? I bought it for a reason. And the reason was to build a better Jamaica. And hence that's our tagline. We still have a long way to go to build a better Jamaica.
You say you bought it at the time when you were wealthy. Are you, given some of the issues that we're seeing, people may be wondering if Mr. Leachin is now broke. Are you broke?
Excuse me. Gio, think about it. Think about the question you just asked. It's a reasonable question because that's what the question on most people's mind. But Gio, anyone who can write a check for 94 million, what does that tell you?
What does it say to your investors and for investor confidence? Because some people may be thinking right now and say, boy, everything that has been happening with some of the negative press, the brand is damaged. Is your brand damaged?
Well, I can't help that. I can only control my behavior, right? The media also has to ask themselves the question, am I being fair, right? Because I noticed that a lot of media houses were quick to report when I missed payments, but very few of them reported when the payment was made. Can you imagine had I missed that payment on January the 26th? Everybody would be all over it. So what does that tell you about the media and the responsibility that the media has for the growth of a country, or not to skew what they report?
Do you think there's a coordinated attempt for it to be that way? Based on what you're saying so far, it seems as though you're suggesting there's a coordinated attempt to pretty much make you look bad or to portray you in a negative way.
So if when the payments were not made, everybody jumped on it. When the payments were made, very few media houses carried it. What would you conclude? It's not symmetrical. It should be symmetrical. Report the news, good, bad, or indifferent. That is a responsibility of media. That's responsibility of media in a society to make sure we keep the society honest. So yes, I can only conclude from the behavior that it wasn't. Our media houses are not mature because the reporting was not symmetrical.
Yeah. Against all of what is happening at the players, do you think what do you think the idea is behind this in relation to NCB? Do you think there are other players who are trying to remove NCB as the number one commercial bank? What is the aim of all of this, you think?
I just know that what it tells me is NCB is a great business, coveted by a lot of people. But if you want to buy NCB, come through the front door and say, Mike, I want to buy NCB. Don't go through the back door, the side door, and trying to undermine, because it's not going to work.
And are you open to selling it for the right price?
NCB is a wonderful platform, Gio. It's a wonderful platform. The reason I bought it was because I saw something, an intangible, that wasn't on the balance sheet.
Which is?
Which is the emotional connection between the institution and the people of Jamaica. That emotional connection is a people's bank. That's why I bought it. And I want to make sure that reason for buying it in the first place, to ensure that it truly is the people's bank, whereby it provides, it is so well run, long way to go, yes, so well run, and it also provides the people with an opportunity to create wealth, right? To create wealth. Because at the end of the day, banking, insurance, those are commodities, right? But creating wealth, right, is not a commodity. And that is the goal, because to build a better society, we need for everybody to see an opportunity, to have an opportunity to create wealth.
Speaking about bank being well run, you had a change in leadership recently. The timing of it was very interesting for some people. Right after NCB was announced to have been pretty much funding a bailout for Jamaica Ballers Group, did that have anything to do with the timing of the change in leadership?
I don't think Jamaica Ballers Group, us funding Jamaica Ballers Group, had anything with a change of leadership. Zero.
What do you say to a lot of young people who grew up looking at you as that ideal person on which to kind of model to create wealth, who are grown up now, want to invest to create wealth for themselves and to chart a course for them and their family? What do you say to them?
I'll say to them, look, the higher monkey climb, the more his rear is exposed, and the more people take pot shots at the monkey, the higher he climbs or she climbs. So monkey has to realize that when people start taking pot shots at you, you have to go into rhino mode.
You're in rhino mode right now?
Yes. What is rhino mode? Thick skin. Right? Number two, thick skin, always moving forward, right? Irrespective of what's hitting you, you always move forward, head down, focused. Think about if the rhinoceros had the opposite of those three characteristics. Thin skin, everything bothers him or her. Secondly, head is up in the air, spinning around, not focused. And thirdly, standing still or moving backward. The rhino would be what? Extinct. So my suggestion is everybody, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're taking risk, you should always be in rhino mode. Don't let other people, what they say, impinge on you. You have to know absolutely who you are and what you're all about. So you have thick skin. Secondly, head down, focus on your North Star, your passion, in this case, building a better Jamaica. And thirdly, always moving forward, irrespective of how much knockdown you get. You get up and you keep moving forward. That rhino mode metaphor is what kept me going through the darkest days. And that is what I'd like to leave with every single entrepreneur. Rhino mode.
Rhino mode, a solid point on which to end. Thank you so much, Michael Lee Chin, with this special interview here on CVM TV. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Thank you so much for watching.
A special interview there with Michael Lee Chin, business mogul, opening himself up for comments and questions after the two big things that happened over the past few months. Missed payments that you just heard him speak about there, saying that the press was very happy to talk about that, but not so happy to talk about him actually making those payments in January. And a new government position, an asset tax that puts NCB under pressure as he, its chair, has to now deal with some of the fallout. Well, you just saw that four-part interview with CVM's managing editor, Giovanni Dennis. When we return, we'll come back now to look at, well, some reactions and the broader implications for investors, market confidence, and the role of private capital in building a stronger economy.
Hi, I'm Landy. Welcome to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly platform designed to help you share your feedback, get support, and updates about land-related matters. Available 24/7, NLA Connect allows you to share suggestions, comments, and commendations, submit queries and report issues, attach files with your requests, track requests and get real-time status updates, connect with NLA client engagement officers, and provide feedback on the service received by the platform. We're making it easier for you to connect with us. You can access NLA Connect via our website, using the kiosk at any of our offices or scanning the QR code displayed at our locations. Need any help along the way? Check out our FAQs section. It has all the answers you need in one location. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority.
Enjoy peace of mind knowing that your hard-earned money is protected by the JDIC. That's right, the JDIC through the Deposit Insurance Scheme guarantees up to $1.2 million of your deposits in commercial banks, merchant banks, and building societies. This means your deposits, such as your savings and checking accounts, are covered. Rest easy knowing that your deposits are secure. Your deposits always protected. For more information, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at JDICJAM or visit our website at www.jdic.org.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
You've just heard from Michael Lee Chin, a man who for decades has been the symbol of Jamaican wealth, private capital, and institutional stability. Well, you're now in a position where you're seeing a man with a different posture. Coming from yesterday and into today, you have seen a chairman on the offensive. A chairman alleging deliberate market manipulation, calling for tougher enforcement, and all while navigating high-stakes debt repayment cycles of his own. Well, to talk to us about what was said by the business mogul Michael Lee Chin yesterday, and with the explosive sharing of findings today, we have on set with us economist Janelle McEwen. Janelle McEwen, economic consultant and columnist. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good night. Thank you for having me.
We are having now this conversation after the various pieces of hearing from Michael Lee Chin. Let's start with the core claim. He's adamant that the National Commercial Bank's book value remains strong, yet the stock has plummeted. That's why he's in the news. That's why this is such big news here. And he's gone even further, calling it manipulation. From an economist's lens, is it realistic that a stock as large as NCB's can be purposely pushed down, or are we simply watching the market price in the risk associated with his personal debt obligations?
So the price to book value is referring to, if you look at the balance sheet, it would be around $72 to $80. And you see the stock trading for approximately $42 now. So there are some serious questions that need to be asked. For a company as strong as NCB, because their financials are really strong, and then you have them accounting for record of profit, why is it that people wouldn't want to hold on to these shares? So he's saying that, hey, there is some manipulation occurring in the market, and it is quite interesting for him to make that claim. Maybe you know more than any one of us, so it is really an interesting claim. But I will not go to the extent to say that, hey, manipulation is happening or it's not happening. So I will be reserved on that one.
But this is something that he's put squarely on the table there, not only saying that what NCB is trading for isn't enough, but he's also saying that the major deadline that had been missed, the approximately $94 million in bond payments secured by NCB shares, that deadline had been missed. Then he spoke about paying it back. All right. How does the personal debt of a majority shareholder impact public confidence? Because if it's not something wrong with the stock itself, it's a public confidence thing, that a bank that holds the savings of hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans now has people nervous.
It is understandable to see why people would be nervous, because the chairman of a bank going through a financial debt debacle, and you're wondering, is this going to affect the bank? I save in the bank, is something going to happen to my money? So it is understandable. However, it is a private matter, as he rightfully stated. These debt that he owes, it has nothing really to do with NCB. However, you can't separate the man from the craft. You know, it's just his work, so people will always find a way to really tie him with it, which is understandable.
But he's been the face of this bank. He's a billionaire that has come in. He's spoken about indigenous banking and investment. He has been the man. Yesterday he spoke about him being the head, chief czar, if you will, of our Economic Growth Council, with the plan of 5% growth in 4 years. He spoke as well about the kind of work that he would have done inside National Commercial Bank, and the things he said pull away from the credibility of Jamaica, including the newly reinstituted asset tax, one that he says the government had promised from 2013 to end in 2015. We're looking at it now in 2026. All of those things together, put them together, this is a mogul who now, in the minds of some individuals, has been going through a rougher time. Should that impact the bank and its shares, or should it not?
Well, it should not. Yes, I agree that he would have been the face of the bank for years. That is true, and he would have contributed significantly to our economic growth, as he pays a lot of taxes, right? And he now is making the claim that the asset tax should be removed, along with many other CEOs.
He's also asking for the government to do the right thing and pay him back for all the money that he would have paid on the asset tax. Jamaica having NCB as one of its largest payers of taxes, in that it would give him a tidy chunk of change to be able to stave off these current problems.
Good luck with that. I think he pays approximately 6 to 8 billion a year in asset tax. However, I don't think it's realistic to think that even a removal, if we decide to get rid of it, which Minister Fable Williams has alluded to, is going to be done in a phased manner, right? So it might move from 1% to 0.75 and then so forth. So we can't just, that would be billions in revenue lost, and we have to have something to fill that gap. And the other problem I have with this asset tax argument is that are banks willing to be honest about this when we get rid of this tax? Is it that banks are saying, hey, we're going to lower interest rate, we're going to lower fees and so forth, because they're making billions of dollars in profits, right? Yet still, you'll see some CEOs come on TV to say, hey, we must embrace, public sector workers should embrace taxes, but yet still a 1% tax on billions of dollars. Companies that making billion in profit, they squeal.
So is this then the plight of the billionaires, the plight of the very wealthy, the banks who are making millions in profits, squealing about their tax, while we have the sugary drink tax, the cigarette tax, the economic, rather the environmental levy that is likely to be passed on to consumers as well. We have digital services taxes. It is individuals who will have to pay those taxes. Right. Are you saying that realistically there's an argument to be made that, well, banks, come on, you make enough, you can just pay these taxes and keep it moving? Or is there another argument that says after Hurricane Melissa, you constrict our economy if you have them pay the taxes to the government instead of lending them out as loans?
I think everybody really have a part to play in this recovery process, and I agree that financial institutions, they have done a tremendous job in showing up. We can't deny that. However, when we look at a 1% tax, it is a lot of money, to be honest, and it's on top of corporate tax. We have to really make mention of that. But as I said, to even be speaking about rebate from 2015, I think he was just making fun of us to really state that. However, I believe that the taxes, as necessary as they may seem, it is a very delicate conversation, because we weren't expecting it. They come. Right? However, we have to ensure that as a country and as a government, we can't just give up everything. For example, just get rid of asset tax, then we're even shorter as it relates to our revenue, and then we probably would have to borrow more, or maybe raise the barn again, as some may say, and go to NHT and take a little bit more.
There we go. And that has also been a very controversial thing there, $11.4 billion to be taken from the National Commercial Bank. Janelle, Lee Chin has also said that the asset tax undermines credibility and risks making Jamaica less attractive to investors. From your perspective, are international creditors watching his own missed payments, or is this something that they're watching the government for its tax policy, or Michael Lee Chin for his debt management? Because there are quite a number of other Caribbean countries who will be pulled in now if National Commercial Bank doesn't do as well as Jamaica hopes it will.
So yes, the asset tax, it really makes us less competitive, because again, I see it's on top of corporate taxes that these institutions pay, and it's just on financial institutions, so the insurance companies, the banks. So they have an argument there, and if there's a company that wants to say, I want to open a business or put a franchise here in Jamaica, they'll be looking and say, hey, I would have to be paying 1% on my total assets. Then it can discourage investors, yes. As it relates to credibility, it is something that the international community is looking on, because to see that a businessman as prominent, a mogul as Lee Chin going through this, I think the world is looking and say, hey, if this can happen to him, then who it can't happen to.
And that's going to be really important. Just before you go, you've written about the cost of waiting and the danger of diluted responsibility. When a major financial figure alleges market sabotage, is it the role of the Financial Services Commission to step in immediately, or does the burden of proof rest squarely on the person making the claim? Because that's a big one, especially as well as he also talks about the legal system here in Jamaica. He's making really big and powerful claims. Do people need to jump in to address them?
No, I think sometimes when we have intervention in the market, it creates more problems than usual. So sometimes we have to really allow the market to really solve itself, and we often get better results from that. Yes, oversight is necessary, and especially on the point that he's making about manipulation. I should be having a conversation with Mr. Livingston, read the micro market framework very soon. So I believe Mr. Livingston, they're doing a really wonderful job in regulating the stock market, and they're coming with a lot more new rules and new ideas in the way we go about buying and selling shares on the stock market.
Jamaica Stock Exchange will be interested to see what it is that we're looking at. We're also hearing from more people as we heard that big interview, the first sit down that Michael Lee Chin has had since those major developments since January. But that's it for today's edition of Lead Story. We had economist Janelle McEwen on with us, talking to us about what we explored tonight. Two critical issues facing Jamaica: the protection of personal data in the digital age and the stability of our financial system. From families discovering deaths through social media before official notification, to questions about NCB's share price and the impact of new asset taxes, the common thread is a need for trust in a world where digital information circulates instantly and where capital moves rapidly.